Hi YouTube, and this is JTrain997, and I'm back this time with my review of the DC Universe Classics Walmart exclusive Series 14 Zatanna figure. Now, of course, I just found her in stores. Was the figure I was definitely looking for most, although I did find the entire wave. And as you can see here, they have her posed very nicely here in packaging, kind of on the, have her turned to the side. She's got her magic wand and her top hat in both of her hands. She also has the arm of the Ultra Humanite. And of course she has her collector's button, which looks to be a little clip from the cover of Justice League #1 from its current run. As you can see, they've got some nice etching here in the packaging to make it look like, I guess, waves of energy coming from her. And of course, realistic fishnets, just like the Black Canary from Wave 9, always a plus. Onto the back of the packaging here. Up here, a read-up says, Zatanna is the daughter of magician Giovanni John Zatanna and Cindella, a sorceress of the mysterious Homo Magi. Like her parents, Zatanna is predisposed to magical powers including elemental manipulation, transmutation, and teleportation. Her spells are spoken backwards, just as her father once did as an arcane adventurer. Zatanna first wielded her powers in an attempt to find and rescue her father from the evil witch Allura. In doing so, the young sorceress teamed up with several heroes of the Justice League of America, eventually leading to her membership. Her stats: first appearance Hawkman #4, the first series, 1964, November. Real name Zatanna Zatara. Occupation magician, base of operations San Francisco. Special abilities: genetically imbued with the ability to manipulate magic with the spells spoken backwards. Has a mnemonic device to intensify her magical focus. So, of course, over here you've got the Ultra Humanite, the Collect and Connect figure. The other figures in this wave, which were Commandee, Todd Rice, or Obsidian, Tyr, Gold, Hourman herself, and Alan Scott, the Green Lantern. So, that being said, fantastic to have this chick. Let's pull this bad girl out of the packaging. And here we have Zatanna out of packaging, and as you can see, a very nice looking figure. With one small exception, and that's that, we'll zoom in on her hair here, there are complete sections of her hair that are just completely covered in blue paint. Now, I gotta assume this was meant to give the hair some sort of shine, because I can't imagine such a horrible paint error, but it does look like paint error in the end. But panning back out real quick, one other very small thing is, it appears that the ankle joint on mine is kind of messed up, and I can't really get to it on the inside of these fishnets. But it does kind of hinder her stance, which, as you can seen before, she can still stand. It just takes a little bit more effort to get her into a pose where she'll stay. As you can see, the hat fell out of her hands. Real quick, her collector's button, which rolled off the desk. Once again, the button's not exactly my cup of tea, but oh well, I could care less about them. As you can see, she can hold the hat just fine, and we'll put the hat on her head real quick, see how well it stays. So far, looking like it might have some issues. Actually, this clip might be there to secure it. I'm thinking this little notch you see on the edge of the hat is meant to hook onto the brim of her hair and kind of hold the hat in place. Although, if that's the case, it's not working all that well. Yeah, so it looks like while the hat will stay, you're going to have to, once again, it's going to be a bit of a fight with the figure. As you can see there. So that's unfortunate. Although, as you can see, I honestly was going to keep it in her hand anyway, so for me, that's not a terrible loss. The magic wand, as you can see here, oh, that elastic band is still kind of attached. Bane of my existence. Came a little bit bent right there on the end, but as you can see, it slides in and out of her hand fine and stays just fine as well. So, pulling both those out. Zatanna's articulation. With the sculpt of her hair being so big, you lose a lot of head articulation. You've got some very slight up and down, but that's about it. As far as the arms, they do a full 360, go out, spin at the elbow, well, spin at the bicep, spin at the elbow, and spin at the wrist. Well, yep, spin at the wrist. She has a very minor bit of abdomen movement. Same for both arms, obviously. Legs go forward and back, bend at the knee, and have an ankle joint, although it's a little bit stiff. So, a pretty decent amount of articulation. This is definitely one of those figures that's going to work better on a base for me, because she does appear to have a bit of issues standing. So overall, oh, before I forget, handing back out here, the Ultra Humanite's arm. He also has this device in his hand, which is removable, although it's in there pretty good. Not exactly sure what that is. The majority of my exposure to Ultra Humanite has been Booster Gold, and I don't recall that much about him. And it does appear to be at least partially Gorilla Grodd's arm, although it definitely, I don't know, I may be wrong about that. It may be a completely new arm. Who knows? But once again, the DC Universe Classics line is running you $15. This line is, at the time I'm making this video, very hard to get, but I'm sure they will become much more readily available soon. Now, as far as Zatanna, this is only the second figure we've gotten this design style of her. I did have the previous one, which was a Justice figure from the DC Direct line, Justice, and it was an abysmal failure of a figure. I'll actually post a link to that review in the bottom. Just one of the worst figures I've ever reviewed. This is a far cry better. Not to say she's perfect. I do think some of the paint on the blue splotches on the hair are terrible. I would have liked for her hat to fit better, and it does appear that my leg came a little bit warped. But if you look past those very small flaws, she has fantastic articulation. Even though you do have to fight to get her into some poses, as you can see here, she's kind of wanting to fuss with her hat. Let's actually get it over here. But you can get the hat in her hand, the wand stays just fine. She's going to look great posed on a shelf with the rest of your Justice League or DC Universe figures. You know what, Zatanna? You don't have to wear your hat. I'll put it on later. But as you can see, a fantastic figure. I definitely recommend picking her up, and this is JTrain997 saying I'll see you soon, YouTube.